coming in, make sure you scan the QR code. Once you have scanned your QR code, please, out of respect to this presentation, I'm asking that you put away your cell phone.
Please move. Don't sit in those chairs.
Okay? Put away your cell phone and your headphones. I guarantee what's going to be said is going to be informational and transformational for you, okay? All right? Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for the Fentanyl Father organization.
Hey, my name's Greg. I was very touched by some of the students who came up and talked to us afterwards. A gal lost her brother a week ago to fentanyl poisoning. I'm here on a sad mission. I lost my son to this. Mike over here lost his son. Robert here lost his daughter, Destiny. How many people know somebody who died from fentanyl poisoning? Wow. That's a lot. That's over a dozen. Thank you. I'm very sorry for your loss. This is a serious matter. It's not a niche problem. It's Michigan's #1 problem. 3,000 people died from it last year here in the state. A ton more nationally. And we're going to make sure you walk out of here. You may die any number of ways, but you're not going to go out of the world this way. We're taking this one off your plate because this one is slaughtering America's youth, and that's our whole purpose to be here in honor of our lost kids. I'm going to turn this over to Michael Gillette.
Okay, so I'm going to start this presentation the same way I always do. You're going to roll your eyes. Say, okay, boomer, I get it. But I believe this could be the most important 45 minutes of your school year. I hope at the end of it, I hope you'll agree with me on that. I hope what you hear today sticks with you and helps you guide you through your life. So I'm going to start with a number. I'm guessing maybe 600, 700 people in this room right now. Let me share another number with you. It's a big number, and wipe out everybody in this room in simply a matter of days. So my name is Michael Gillette, and on January 27th, 2022, my wife and I found my oldest son, Brian, dead on his bedroom floor. Brian died of fentanyl poisoning. This is not unique to my family. It's not unique to Greg's family. It's not unique to Robert's family. We lose over 80,000 people a year to this drug. In this age group right here, in this room, you are the fastest age group to be impacted by this drug. So don't think for a minute this is not something that's going to cross your path, because it most likely is. I spent way too much time with bereaved parents, and we all agree on one thing, and that's awareness is our #1 weapon. If my son had known what I know about fentanyl, he'd probably still be alive, and I wouldn't be standing up here today. So it has become our mission, our obligation to bring this awareness to you, and that's what we're here to do today. So who are we? We are a group of parents who've all lost a child to fentanyl. We have one member lost 2 boys, same day, celebrating high school graduation. Let that sink in. Why do we do this? Well, I lost my son to fentanyl poisoning. Well, we're really doing it for you. I don't know anybody in this room, but I know you have hope, you have ambitions, you have plans for your life, just like my son has had for his life. And I'm here to tell you one mistake can change all that. So let's get started.
14-year-old kid from a town I grew up in had died from what appeared to be a drug overdose. He's a smart, funny guy who, like many kids, was struggling with some anxiety issues and decided that he would turn to drugs to see if he could help himself with that. What happened was, he went and bought this pill, this Oxycontin pill, from a guy he had known, because he thought that pill might ease the pain of what he was going through mentally. Well, he didn't know it, but that Oxycontin pill wasn't a real Oxycontin pill. It was a fake pill. It looked just like the pill that he wanted to try, but instead of Oxycontin, it was made with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid known to be 50 to 100 times the strength of morphine. That one pill he took that night killed him almost instantly, and his mom found him dead in his bedroom the next morning. So then I go back to Google and I type in fentanyl deaths. I hit search, and then it all made sense. I saw another kid, and I saw high school students, college students, young adults, all recent, all over the country, all dead from fentanyl. And so I'm looking at that and I'm saying, these aren't just normal overdose deaths. These people think they're taking one drug, and turns out they're being killed. Why have we not heard about this?
I gotta be at work at around 4, so at 3 o'clock, I'm trying to wake him up. I said, hey Garrett, wake up, I'm gonna take you to work, on my way to work. And I walked out. The kids, we have a total of 8 kids. Yeah, so we have a big family. And so they go in there trying to wake him up and everything, and they come back out, and they come get me, and they say, hey, Garrett's messing with us, he won't wake up. And I go, hey man, quit messing with your silvers and get up, so I can take you to work, quit playing around. And as soon as I put my hand on him, I knew. I just knew. I felt it.
It's a drug 50 times more potent than heroin. We're talking about the synthetic opioid fentanyl.
So most people haven't heard of this because we haven't been talking about it. As a mom of a kid that died just wanting to experiment, I wish I could just shake you and tell you and make it real for you. But I don't know how to do that. I won't be there when you're faced with these decisions. I know that if he knew the effects of his passing, it would crush him. Alex had no intentions of me seeing him lying on a stainless steel table covered with a sheet with only his head showing.
This would be how much cocaine somebody would have to ingest to kill them. This is the approximate number of prescription pills one would have to ingest to kill them. This is the amount of heroin the average person would have to ingest to kill them. This much fentanyl would kill you and I if we split it. They put fentanyl in cocaine. They put fentanyl in heroin. They put fentanyl, as we already know and talked about, into counterfeit pills. It's odorless, it's tasteless, you don't know it's there. And when you find out it's there, it's too late. You won't even know it. You'll be dead.
Dealers are using social media to show off what they've got, infiltrating feeds of ever younger teens curious about this flashy lifestyle. With more addicts and overdoses by the day, they've got drivers on demand delivering any drug to your door 24/7.
When Andron was 15, he did have a fentanyl poisoning where he was had to be resuscitated. He was in a coma for a couple days, and he had to learn to walk and talk and everything again because him and his friends decided to try a Percocet.
He took a Percocet that he didn't know had fentanyl in it, and February 11th, I got a call that he wasn't breathing, and all I remember is from that screaming if they let me hug him, he'll come back to life.
Before something deployed, I worked every day but Sunday. So I worked in a bunker actually, so no cell phone, no Wi-Fi coverage. So I noticed when I went to the job, you know, my phone started going off like crazy. I'm getting all these messages, and I'm not understanding what's going on. Like, you know, they were all just, hey, you need to call quick. You need to get in. From my wife was saying, hey, you've got to get home. But none of them were very clear on what was going on. And I think the first one that came through that was kind of explaining to me what was going on was the one from my 11-year-old son, Noah. And it simply just said, Dad, brain's dead.
About 8 o'clock in the morning, when I walked into his room, he was in a lying position facing up against the headboard with his hands over his chest. And I saw his eyes. He had a little blue on top of his lips. I screamed at the very top of my lungs. Daniel! Daniel! I called the paramedics. They carried him down the stairs and put him on the first floor and started doing chest compressions. And then they took him to Los Angeles Children's Hospital where we were put in the waiting room. And later on that evening, a team of doctors came in. And they said that your boy is just a shell of a boy that he was before. He's not coming back.
He was supposed to graduate from high school this year. If you love yourself, you respect yourself, you love life, you have a choice. Because it is between life or death. This is no joke. You can and will die.
If you know something, definitely say something, because I knew that he had taken Percocets like 2 weeks before he passed, but I didn't say anything because I didn't want him to like be mad at me, and I didn't want him to hate me or like just anything. So I just kept it to myself. I didn't want to say anything, but all it takes is one pill, and I should have said something.
Don't trust anyone. It's first thing. Don't let your guard down. And just one pill can kill, obviously.
I wish somebody had sat me down and had this talk with me about what fentanyl does to people.
I didn't get that chance. You do.
People just so commonly think that it will not happen to them. I'm talking about great people, nice people, cool people, intelligent people with big plans for the future, big potential. Gone because of one choice. One choice is all it takes. If you don't believe that, I guarantee you, at this point, there was someone very similar to you who wished they could be here right now to look into the camera and look into your eyes and say, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please, I wish I wouldn't have done it. Don't do it. Don't risk your life. So my question for you is, are you going to listen? Or will it be your family and your friends holding your picture, wishing they could have been there to tell you?
Good afternoon. My name is. You have to,
because the camera.
This is my birthday.
Sorry.
This is a dream that she had a week before she passed away.
Don't think I'm crazy, Mom.
started to catch on fire and it was sparking and people was just dropping. So it was me and another girl in the sky, but I could not see her face at all. Like I couldn't see the girl's face. So we just flying around in the sky. And we both like, we can't get down, like we're crying. So we finally get let down, like drop down. So the house on the corner, it was a lady that lived in there, and she was letting everybody in her house, like saying, come on, because didn't nobody know what was going on. So I'm like, no, I have to go see if my family okay, like you, Coda, and Malaya. So I ran in the house, and you was sitting at the table looking out the window with Malaya and Dakota in your hands. I said, Mom, look in the sky. You said, I know, I'm watching you. And I just said, it's time. He's here. And I grabbed your hand, and you looked at me, and you said, are you ready? And I said, no, I'm not ready yet. And you was like, girl, we about to go to heaven. And I just woke up.
So April 30th, 2023, my wife was with me today. We got a call from Destiny Mother saying she wasn't breathing. So we rushed down to the hospital, went into the grieving room, and the doctors told us that they had lost Destiny. So we went back there in the back room. I wanted to see my baby, and I will never forget the image of her laying on a gurney with the tubes coming out of her, lifeless. Destiny and I's birthday was a week apart, and she will always be the first one to call me, like, Dad, happy birthday. Then we'll figure out, okay, we're going to celebrate on my birthday or we're going to celebrate on her birthday. So now on her birthday, this is where I have to go. So we here to let you know, if it ain't prescribed to you, don't take it. Don't trust nobody. I don't care what they say, don't trust nobody. You now want to put your parents through this. Thank you.
This is my son Drew, and he had it going on. He might not have been a Bryce Underwood, but as a freshman, he was state champion in swimming, and he was MVP of his tennis team. He was brilliant, smart. He was a model, was the best looking in his class. And the last week, the last day we were together, this is at Epcot Center. We were doing great. We were having a blast. Went around all of Epcot Center and made a calendar of gals around the world. Take a picture with Drew and send them all these pictures. It was a blast. A month later, I got a call from the guy on the left there who's sitting here on stage. His name's Jack. This is his brother. And it was 12:30 at night, and I was sleeping, and my wife said that phone that's ringing is bad news, pick it up. Drew had taken an unprescribed pill earlier that day, and was exhibiting signs of an overdose with a guy who looking at apartments with. His name is Rico. And I said, all right, I'll pick it up, and I answered the phone, and Jack is yelling at me, coming out of a deep sleep, and he goes, Dad, are you sitting down? I'm like, good grief, pipe down. I'm not even awake. I need you to be sitting down right now. So I sat up in bed, and the seriousness of his tone, shock started hitting me. I'm like, say it. He said, Drew's dead. That marked the before and after point in my life. I went into a long, long depression after that moment where I started screaming bloody murder, yelling at God, telling him he's useless because we're breaking up. You just took my number one son. And here my number two has to tell me about it. It's ridiculous. So being able to talk to you guys today gives purpose to his passing. I call it the 6th stage of grief. So I'm really happy to do that. Thanks for letting us do that. The message is really simple. You can't trust nobody. If it's not prescribed to you with your name on it, it'll kill you dead like rain kills bugs. This is Rain. She's teaching her freshman class about fentanyl.
Controlled substances have very serious side effects, which include but are not limited to drowsiness, fatigue, dizziness, mental shock, and in very serious cases, death. Actually, not really in very serious cases, because even a small amount of fentanyl can kill you, and it's very, very scary. And this is an epidemic killing your
later, this is Rain. She died, obviously, and it was a fentanyl poisoning. She was fooled into eating a fake Xanax or consuming one. That she looked stressed out. She was at a pool. Someone offered, "Hey, you want a Xanny?" The last search on her phone was, "What does a real Xanax look like? What does a fake Xanax look like?" Had someone been with her after she took this fentanyl-laced Xanax and done this, that would have brought her back. That's the Lazarus drug called naloxone. You can hear more about it. It's Narcan. Next slide. So this is why we're here. It's a 900-pound gorilla. This is the biggest problem in Michigan. It's not a minor niche problem. If your number one, resource is to stay alive, this is why we have to talk to you guys. You can see all these famous deaths over here, including the entire Vietnam War. All these famous deaths added up are less than 1 year's worth of overdoses, 70% driven by fentanyl. And that was last year. To put that in perspective, sold out Tiger, sold out Red Wing, and sold out Piston Game. Prince is our poster child. He died on an elevator from fentanyl poisoning. Maybe you guys are familiar with Angus Cloud from Euphoria, or Mac Miller, who one of our fentanyl father's sons was friends with. It doesn't matter how rich, famous you are. It just matters that you're smart, and we're just going to make sure that you're smart. All these kids up here, if you get a chance as you're leaving today, died from fentanyl poisoning. They're all teenagers, and they all thought they were above it. They weren't. So we're just making sure you guys are. I'm going to turn this over to Jack.
All right, thank you guys. So we don't only come here to share our stories. We're not trying to just be heavy and sad on your day, but we really do it to empower you to make healthy decisions, live long futures. So we want you guys to be aware of the dangers of fentanyl and counterfeit pills. I'm also going to share with you how to recognize the signs of an overdose, and then let you guys know how to respond. With the medication that my dad just sprayed up on stage called naloxone or Narcan. How many of you guys have heard of that before? All right, so most of you. So that's great. So we'll talk more about that, and then we'll also connect you guys with some important community resources as well. So just looking at the numbers, back in 1999, we lost less than 20,000 Americans to drug overdose. In 2022, we lost over 110,000. So this number has gone up and up and up. We're finally seeing a decline recently, but this is slaughtering youth, which is why we're here today. As you can see, we saw over 114% increase in adolescent overdose deaths between the ages of 10 and 19 in a 2-year period. And anytime that we see a spike like this in any population, it's usually sustained for a while before it comes down. So we knew it was important to talk to high school and middle school students so that you're aware of the dangers that you guys are facing today. Only about a third of these deaths had any history of opioid use, yet 90% of them were opioid related, which tells us that a lot of these were first-time users or people just experimenting with substances for the first time, which is why fentanyl is so scary. And a major cause of this is from counterfeit pills. About a quarter of these deaths were attributed to counterfeit pills. Counterfeit pills are being mass-produced by criminal drug networks. They often contain fentanyl and methamphetamine, and they're being bought and sold anywhere that people buy and sell things. But the scary one that's getting in the hands of youth often is e-commerce platforms and social media platforms like Snapchat, WhatsApp, those sorts of places. There was actually a 13-year-old out in Colorado who had a wisdom tooth extraction. He was given a 2-day course of Percocet by his doctor. He was talking to a friend on Snapchat, said that he was having some tooth pain still after that 2-day course was up. And his friend said, "Oh, I have a Percocet," which he got from another online source on Snapchat. The 13-year-old had his friend Uber that medication to his door. His parents were in the living room. He ran down from playing video games, had his video game headset on, picked up the Percocet from the front door, ran back up to his room, and his parents found him 2 hours later dead in a beanbag chair with his video game headset on in the game room. And that's just one example of many of how easy these things are being distributed into our communities. 5 out of every 10 pills that are being seized and tested by DEA labs in the country that contain fentanyl contain a potentially lethal dose. As you saw in the movie, this is what a potential lethal dose of fentanyl looks like on the tip of a pencil. You can imagine how much that substance can fit into one single pill. These are some examples of counterfeit pills. Top example is oxycodone, Xanax, the middle example, and Adderall. Criminal drug networks are putting this in anything that has any kind of street value, and the drug networks are also using the exact same pill dyes and pill presses that real pharmaceutical companies are using. So you can't trust just by looking at something if it's real or fake. It's not only being put into counterfeit pills, it's also being put into our street drug supplies, most commonly in the powdered drug supply, like heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, but it's also showing up in marijuana. And there have been cases of some vapes where they're being laced with fentanyl. So anything that you're getting from an unverified, unregulated source, you need to proceed with caution. Or at the minimum, know how to respond in the event that you see any signs of an overdose, which we're going to discuss next. So what is an opioid overdose? We all have these opioid receptors, these little orange receptors in our brain. And when we take an opioid or are exposed during a fentanyl poisoning or overdose, these receptor sites get flooded with opioids and stop the signals for pain from the brain to a site of injury, but then also shut off the signal for breath from the brain to the lungs. And that's what causes an overdose, is like an asphyxiation or suffocation. Now, naloxone or Narcan is the reversal agent for an opioid overdose. Its single purpose is to displace those opioid molecules that are bound to those receptor sites, which actually have a stronger attraction for the naloxone molecule. And then that naloxone binds to those receptor sites and restores those signals for breath for the person, so the person can start breathing again. That's its sole purpose, its singular purpose. It's important to note that it only lasts in the body for 30 to 90 minutes. So whenever you give this medication, you need more on the way. So it's always important to call 911 because the person can experience a re-overdose. Opioids often last 12 plus hours in some cases, so it's important to have more of that on the way. Now, naloxone will work on any opioid, from heroin to fentanyl to Percocet, Vicodin, oxycodone, any other drug class. It'll only work for opioids, it won't work for a benzo overdose or alcohol poisoning, but it will have no effect on the individual if an opioid is not present. So it works on any opioid at any time. It can cause a sudden withdrawal. It has no psychoactive effects. It is non-addictive. It is routinely used by our EMS and first responders, police, law enforcement, and it will have no effect on the individual if an opioid is not present, which is important because you do not need to be a medical professional to administer this medication. If you see signs of an opioid overdose and you give this medication, it will only have a positive effect and will not have a negative effect on that individual. It is safe for an infant, it is safe for a child, it is safe for you, it is safe for me, it is safe for an elderly person or a dog who may have gotten into or exposed to a wrong substance. So next we'll talk about signs and symptoms of opioid use versus overdose. Opioid use are some of the signs that my brother was exhibiting when he was walking into a sober living home for the last time. His friend Rico noticed he was nodding off, falling asleep. He had some pinpoint through small pupils. He had slurred speech. Rico thought that Drew maybe just needed to sleep these symptoms off, which, some people are tired, groggy, I get that, but there's a hallmark sign of opioid use, which is the pinpoint pupils. So it's normal for our pupils to react to light. When we're in a dark, lit room, our pupils are going to get big to allow more light to hit the back of the eye so we can see. When we're in the bright outdoors, our pupils are going to get small to protect the back of the eye from too much light exposure. But when we're on an opioid, the pupils are going to get small and they're going to stay small no matter what the light exposure. So differentiator between opioid use and overdose is when you're just using opioids, you're still going to be responsive to your name or to external stimuli, like shaking a person's shoulder, shouting their name. In an overdose, that person is going to be unconscious, unresponsive, which is our first telltale sign. Secondly, we know that opioid overdose causes decreased breathing. So you're going to see no breathing or shallow breathing in an individual, which means lack of circulation of oxygen, which is going to lead to skin discoloration. In lighter skin folks in the thin skin areas, you're going to notice it first. Bluish or purplish tints under the fingernails or in the lips. In darker skin folks, it's going to be a pale or ashen appearance in those same areas. You may also notice some snoring or gurgling sounds that the person's body is trying to breathe, but it's not getting oxygen. So if we see any of these signs, we have 5 steps to save a life. First, we're going to shake and shout. Shake their shoulder, shout their name. Hey, are you okay? If they're not responding, what do you guys think we're going to do? Narcan. But first, we're going to call 911. Because anytime that we give Narcan, we're going to need more of those doses on the way. Few reasons for 911 that dispatcher is also going to be able to walk you through. Other life-saving measures that you can make for that individual to help save their life, rescue, breathing, CPR, things like that. But 911 also enacts the Good Samaritan Law, which was put into place in the state of Michigan back in 2016 to protect individuals from feeling like they were going to be prosecuted for minor drug possession or drug paraphernalia charges if they called 911 in the event that there was other drugs on the scene. This law protects from minor drug possession charges and drug paraphernalia charges for the individual who called, as well as for the individual who overdosed. So if you suspect you're at a party and you suspect there's an overdose going on, call 911. The first responders will confiscate the drugs, but you will not be held criminally responsible for those substances. This also applies for alcohol and marijuana. Important to know. So always call 911. Next, we're going to get out our first dose of nasal naloxone. Hopefully we have it with us. These usually come in 2 packs. It comes in a blister pack like this. It works just like a Flonase or a nasal spray if anybody's ever used any of those for allergies. You're going to peel off the back. Let the applicator fall into your fingers. Careful not to push the plunger on the bottom. You're going to put the applicator into the person's nostril all the way, and then you're going to push the plunger. That full medication spray that my dad demonstrated up here earlier is going to be administered and absorbed through the mucous membranes of the person's nose. And then you're going to check if the person starts breathing. If they are, then you're done. You're waiting for first responders to get there. If they're not, you are going to get out your second dose of nasal naloxone and administer it in the opposite nostril. While you're waiting for those 2 to 3 minutes, the dispatcher on the phone is going to walk you through how to do other life supporting measures like CPR, chest compressions, things like that. You can do this as many times as necessary until the person starts breathing for as many doses of naloxone that you have with you, because you cannot overdose on naloxone. It is given many, many times in the field, several times, for fentanyl overdoses and poisoning specifically, because it's so potent. So next, when the person starts breathing, you're going to place them on their left-hand side. Careful, because they can start vomiting if they go into a withdrawal, and you don't want that vomit going into their airway. So then just tell them you had a medical event, I gave you some medication, help is on the way, and then give them space. Next, we'll talk about some community resources. There are these Save a Life stations or nuke stands, porch boxes, vending machines that have free naloxone in your community. We actually have, the closest one is at this Belleville Faith Community Center. Please check it out. They have a newsstand near the front entrance where you can take as much of the naloxone as you need for you, your family members, and distribute that out. We also have a resource, narcannow.us, where anybody can go there and find out where free naloxone is available in their community. And be sure to check out the Roz Medical Clinic here on campus, and check out social work services as well.
Thanks. I'm managing the game clock, as you know, 2:04 is over for us, and the weekend is beginning for you guys. And I really appreciate your attention being the last thing before the weekend. I want to make this resource available to anybody in the school who wants it. I'll describe it, and I'll take a quick show of hands, see who wants it, because I'll ship them in to Nurse Munoz or Reggie. And I just wanted to also mention Judy right here. Judy, can you raise your hand? Judy lost her niece to fentanyl poisoning, and so it just shows that it really hits close to home. Judy Frenner. So this book is handwritten. You can see it's in her handwriting. And her name was Victoria, and she just suffered from depression and anxiety. Actually, she was from a well-to-do family. Her mom was Queen of Versailles on a reality show on TV. And once people found out that she was rich, she got bullied. It was really hard for her. And so she turned to drugs, and our message to you is, yeah, you're going to have depression and anxiety happen to you. You can't turn to drugs because now the drug supply is poison. this anti-drug book will help you get inside your head, which is rated PG-13, I gotta say, but it'll help you understand and validate how you're feeling. Just a quick show of hands. Anybody want that free book? Because I'm going to ship it in boxes. Maybe about half, maybe about a third. Okay. Thank you. I'll ship those in, and you'll be able to go down and pick them up. Here's something you can do to fight back.
Your reason for joining SAFE may be sitting next to you right now. So if you're interested in helping us spread awareness, please DM us on Instagram or scan this QR code so that we can keep our generation safe.
So you can start a SAFE club here. You can watch Dead on Arrival, get other people in here to watch it, the 21-minute versions at the bottom of fentanylfiles.org. The other thing you can do is download 1,001 Great Comebacks to peer pressure. Someone's pressuring you to do drugs. You know, they're the moron, not you. You can say, look, you got 2 chances, slim and none of them better than me. When you're 30, living in your mom's basement, I'm married to your girlfriend, you'll know that drugs don't pay. There's a lot of things you can say to put it in people's face, that they're the idiot. And I want you to, if you can download that for free at the bottom of fentanylfiles.org. I'm going to hear from Mike. Got enough time, Mike? So, this is an important testimony.
This is my son, Brian. Brian was an amazing person. He was one of the smartest people I ever knew. He had a love for music and a knowledge of music which was unequaled. And we spent hours and hours together exploring different types of music, going to concerts together. And he actually worked for Live Nation, so he was involved in the biggest concerts that came through Detroit. He was that guy that you could call any time of the day or night, and he would pick up. He would listen to you. He would talk with you. We had a memorial for him, and a woman approached me and said that she was contemplating suicide. And that she called Brian at 2 in the morning, and he picked up, and he spent 2-3 hours with her on the phone until he knew that she was in a safe place. And she threw her arms around me and said, "Your son saved my life. I wish I could have saved his." But she couldn't, and I couldn't. And I have to live with that. So I've done well over 100 of these presentations, and I always pay very close attention to the students. Are they paying attention? Are they sleeping? Are we connecting with them? And I know for sure that the majority of you are sitting here right now and thinking, this is never going to happen to me. I'm way too smart for this. This only happens to other people. So I want to share a true story with you about Brian. Brian lost a friend to fentanyl poisoning. He was very upset by this. This was a close friend. And he went to his memorial. And when he got home, he was unapproachable. My wife and I decided to give him time, let him sleep, and then have a discussion with him the next day. So we did that. We sat down with him. And during the conversation, my wife said to Brian, "Don't let this be your story." And Brian said, "Don't worry, I'm way too smart. This is never going to happen to me." And then he looked at my wife and he said, "Mom, don't worry, I'm Superman." My son was Superman, and he died 10 days later. Nobody in this room is Superman. Nobody in this room is exempt from this drug. My son made one mistake, and that cost him his life. So we've talked a lot about you, how we can prepare you, bring you awareness. But I want to talk about someone else. I want to talk about your family. I want to talk about your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, or maybe somebody sitting in this room with you today. My last image of my son was holding his body on his bedroom floor. His body was cold, his eyelids were purple, his lips were purple. There was absolutely no life in him at all. And in the background, I could hear my wife screaming, wailing in pain at the realization that she just lost her firstborn son. I see that every day. I wake up to that every morning. It will never go away. You have no idea the pain, the regret, and the guilt that we live with. I didn't save my own son. Did I always say the right things to him? Did I tell him that I love him enough? Well, it's too late for me, but it's not too late for you. I want you to go home tonight. I want you to share this message with your family. I want you to talk to your family. I want you to talk to your friends. And if you ever see somebody at a party, I want to find a hero in this room, someone who's willing to have the courage to go up and tell them what you learned today if you see them taking a pill. Thank you.
Ryan, for Destiny, for Drew to say this with me. You might think it's too cheesy to repeat after the random on stage, but the help they give you brain, you'll leave fentanyl free, fentanyl certified. So I'm going to lead us. I'll never try. So I'll never die.
So I'll never die.
From fentanyl.
From fentanyl.
All right, you're fentanyl certified, fentanyl free. Reggie, can you close us out? Thanks, guys. You're great. Have a great weekend.
I actually sent it to you, bro. I sent it to you. I'm gonna lie. I should have cheered. I ain't gonna lie. I did too, bro. That was awesome. I'm trying to go. See, the other way is wide open. So